Released in Japan on September 12, 1998 for the Game Boy, and in North America on October 18, 1999, Australia on September 3, 1999, and Europe on June 16, 2000, we have Pokémon Yellow. Developed by Game Freak and published by Nintendo, Pokémon Yellow was considered an updated version of Pokémon Red and Blue, or Green if we're going by Japan's releases, since Japan had its own version of Pokémon Blue. The game was later re-released on the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console on February 27, 2016. Pokémon Yellow is also subtitled Special Pikachu Edition. In this version of the game, instead of choosing the Generation 1 Pokémon starters, Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle, the game instead chooses to follow the Pokémon anime series by having your player character start with Pikachu, much like how Ash, or Satoshi in Japanese, started his journey with a Pikachu. The game plays very much like Pokémon Red and Blue before it, where you catch, train and battle Pokémon, beat the 8 gyms in Kanto so you can fight the Elite Four, and become a Pokémon champion. But there have been some liberties taken in the game to follow the anime, which I'll touch upon later. The Pikachu your character starts with also stays out of its Pokeball, much like how Ash's Pikachu does, and will follow you around. But is this updated version of Pokémon Red and Blue any good? Find out in The Good. Some of the changes made in the game, whether it was to reflect the anime or not, were welcome. Certain Pokemon that were only available through trades, such as Farfetch'd and Lickitung, are now available to battle and capture in the wild. Instead of having to choose between the 3 starting Pokemon from Red and Blue, you can obtain all 3 of them over the course of the game, and the way you get them is similar to how Ash had befriended them in the anime. Viridian Forest near the beginning of the game now features Pidgeys and underleveled Pidgeotos to reflect the anime as well. A couple of trainers were added to said forest, and as you play through the game, a few trainers may remind you of characters of the day from the anime, such as Joe, Giselle, and AJ, all of which use Pokemon that they had in their respective episodes. As a kid with the anime fresh in my mind, the game made me feel like I was retracing Ash's steps and thinking that I could do way better than he could, and as an adult it brings a wave of nostalgia from my time growing up with the games. Although the idea wouldn't be used again until Pokemon Gold and Silver were remade as Heart Gold and Soul Silver for the Nintendo DS in 2009-2010, I really liked the idea of having a Pokemon following my main character around. While Pikachu initially dislikes travelling with you in the beginning, it opens up to you as you go about your journey, sharing the ups and downs of your path to becoming a Pokemon Master. Instead of Pikachu's usual cry in other games in the series, the exception being when you check Pikachu in the Pokemon League's Hall of Fame, Pokemon Yellow uses voice clips of Pikachu made by its voice actress in the anime, and as low quality as it sounds today, it was a magical experience when it first came out. Pikachu even reacts to certain Pokemon, events and locations, and even has its own response to you winning a battle, catching a Pokemon, or whether it's affected by a status ailment. This was also the first introduction of the friendship mechanic, which has been in all other Pokemon games since, with Pikachu's opinion of you as an indicator of how high its friendship level is. The friendship mechanic does play a part in one event of the game, and that is when you obtain Bulbasaur. Pikachu needs to be higher than a particular friendship value in order for you to be given Bulbasaur. However, not everything in Pokémon Yellow was good, so let's now discuss the bad. Now I won't point out the glaring problems with first generation Pokémon games such as the bag limit, handling Pokémon boxes, and the fact Pokeballs can even miss certain Pokémon, as they've since been fixed in future games. But Pikachu itself is also one of the minor issues in the game. Much like Ash's Pikachu in the series, Pikachu will refuse to evolve into a Raichu when exposed to a Thunderstone. While this is faithful to the anime, it also meant that in terms of stats, with the exception of its speed, Pikachu would be lagging behind the other Pokemon in my party. In order to get Raichu, you would have to trade a Raichu from one of the other games across, or trade your Pikachu to another game and evolve it before sending it back, since your partner Pikachu just happens to be the only Pikachu in the entire game. While Pikachu was in my party for the entirety of the game, by the time I was up against the Elite Four, I pretty much had alternative Pokemon with type advantages available to replace Pikachu. Hell, just use a Psychic Pokemon, they're incredibly broken with their insane special stats anyway. Now, I was more on the fence with this one, but the game also had a very unusual difficulty spike which may throw off newer players to Pokémon Yellow. While newer Pokémon games pretty much hold your hand the entire way, with Pokémon levels gradually increasing the further you get, Pokémon Yellow has this weird jump where the game's 4th gym leader has Pokémon around the early level 30s, and then the 5th gym leader suddenly jumps up to the mid-level 40s with the strongest being a level 50. Then the difficulty sort of just hangs around level 50 to 55 as you clear the remaining gyms. I just felt that the latter half of the game didn't really know if it wanted to be more difficult or easier, since by the time you get the 8th gym badge, you should be able to hold your own against the Elite Four. While this wasn't a problem to me, grinding in Generation 1 Pokemon games may be a bit off-putting to newer players. So now with the bad out of the way, it's time for me to give the opinion. Pokémon Yellow, in my opinion, is easily the definitive version of Generation 1 Pokémon games, much like how Pokémon Crystal is for Generation 2. The game had fixed up certain issues that were present in Pokémon Red and Blue, though certain bugs lingered behind, and making a game with events that reflected the anime was a smart idea, especially given how popular the Pokémon anime was worldwide. As I said before, a lot of the issues with Generation 1 were fixed in later games, and the issues I had with it were minor at best. Pokémon has generally been a good example of the mantra, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, for its core mechanics. If you really like Pokémon, chances are you've probably played Pokémon Yellow already, but if you haven't and you enjoy the games, then it might not hurt to give it a go and see how Pokémon started out. If you have a 3DS, then I'd say just grab it for the 3DS Virtual Console so you can transfer the Pokémon to newer games. So with that, it's time for my rating. Pokémon Yellow gets this very handy hint from Professor Oak out of 10. There's only one Master Ball in Pokémon. Use it wisely. I suggest using it on a Pokémon that you want to add to your team but are too hard to catch, like a Pharaoh or Tentacruel. Well, I should be using this on Mewtwo, but Oak's the authority on Pokémon, he's an actual professor of it, so he's gotta be right. Besides, I can catch Mewtwo with Ultra Balls anyway. Mewtwo wouldn't be as tough as Pharaoh, right? Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next Infinite Backlog review. If you enjoyed today's review, feel free to check out some of our other videos and subscribe for more. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram and our Facebook page. Once again, thank you for watching.